Air India flights 1348 and 1349 will go down in history for more reason than one. These were the flights that undertook the stressful operation of evacuating Indians stranded in the deadly coronavirus epicenter of Wuhan, China. Today we bring before you the heroes of the stressful operation, and we will tell you what they went through in the first such operation undertaken by Air India.
Undertaking courageous evacuation operations is nothing new for India's national carrier, Air India. Some of them, like the 1990 airlift of Indians from Kuwait, got featured in Bollywood, where the real-life hero, Akshay Kumar, played the role of the real-life heroes. But the recent evacuation of Indians stuck in coronavirus-hit Wuhan in China is also no less than a courageous act for the pilots, crew members, doctors and even the security personnel involved in the operation. For these crew members, Yangzi Bhutia and Swainka Kumari, it was the call of duty above all, and they had to suppress their fears and anxiety about the operation.
Right from the beginning of the flight, the fear was always there. But yes, once we got on board and the doctor gave us the guidelines of how to go about it, then we were assured. And anyways, when you see so many Indians there, and when you see that they are coming with their children and all, then the fear is subsided and you feel a proud moment. Because there was a lot of uncertainty, we did not have a lot of information. We were just told that we were going there to evacuate the Indians from Wuhan and then come back. But we did not know how the procedure is going to be there once we touched down at Wuhan. And then the medical team was there, of course, and then they gave us guidelines as to how to prepare ourselves while boarding the passengers. And of course, the duty was almost for 24 hours because we had a long ground halt there for the preparation of the flight. And then, we had to board the passengers as well. So yes, before the flight, we were a little bit scared and skeptical, but at the end of the day, it was a duty, so duty calls. And then it was a proud moment as well for us.
When the passengers boarded, they were coming in a batch of six people at a time. So the first passenger that came in, there was a young girl, maybe 5-6 years age, and my daughter is of the same age. So I literally had tears in my eyes seeing that kid, and I felt very proud that I could rescue her. It reminded of my own daughter, so I was very proud of it. And everything went very well. And regular announcements were made by Captain Amitabh Singh regarding, that there was no communication, food packets and waters were already placed. We placed it ourselves during the halt at the seats, and everything went very well.
For crew members and even pilots, Wuhan was going to be a place where they had heard about the reality on the ground. As soon as the necessary permissions were received, the two Boeing 747 flights took off from Delhi airport to evacuate 647 Indians. The flights were operated on January 31st and February 2nd to Wuhan. The flights consisted of 8 pilots, 30 cabin crew and 10 commercial staff. There were special instructions on how to wear the clothes and how to remove them to ensure that there is no contamination. But there were other challenges as well.
The biggest challenge was the uncertainties and lack of information, because so many things were going in the mind, especially with the family, thinking that what happens when this, because when we went, the information was not very clear about what exactly the operation would be and what would be the planning.
In my case, my wife already is from armed forces, and she is also in medical field. And my family also, my forefathers were in armed forces. So it was like a sense of pride for me when I got the call and chosen from Air India for this operation.
We were given protective gear. It was a full suit that we were given. Initially when the passengers started coming, before that we were ready with those. And we had those gloves, the suit, the mask and every precaution that we could take in such a scenario, we were given that.
As the flight landed in Wuhan to rescue Indians, the pilot and the crew couldn't help but think that they had entered a post-apocalyptic film set.
It was deathly silence. We were the only aircraft flying in there, and there was no traffic delays, nothing. And once we landed, before we landed, in fact, what we saw was the city was all well lit up, but not one vehicle inside, not one soul inside. It was absolutely like a dead city.
The others who were part of the operation were doctors from India. Before the boarding of the Indians started, the doctors checked the temperatures of passengers, handed out masks, and made the passengers wash their hands a number of times. The aero bridge also acted as a makeshift clinic where the doctors explained to those boarding in Wuhan as to how to put on their masks and maintain basic hygiene. Since the Boeing 747 is a double-deck aircraft, the upper deck was isolated for the cabin crew operating the flight, while the first-class section in the front of the aircraft was isolated for doctors and engineers.
So protection was the primary stuff, and also we had to screen those people in such a meticulous way that we evacuate as many fellow Indians as possible, and at the same time screening them at the airport, which was a major risk for all of us, so that we are able to screen only those people who are healthy. And since the incubation period is unknown, maybe 14 days to 28 days, that is what they say, but looking clinically, no, you cannot make out whether he was actually carrying the virus or not. So that was a major task we had to face.
The Indians, after being brought back from Wuhan, were quarantined for over 2 weeks in the makeshift army medical camp in Manesar near the national capital. In fact, the first batch of over 244 Indian nationals was not found to be infected with the coronavirus. For hundreds of evacuees, their relief and happiness after coming home from the coronavirus epicenter is beyond words. But all this could finally happen because some heroes worked tirelessly for days and nights to make it possible.